Okay, welcome everybody. This is kind of going to be an intro podcast of something that I've been dabbling with, thinking about doing, trying to decide if I want to do it, right? My name is Darson Grantham. I am a local real estate agent here in Des Moines Metro. I started in 2020. I met some folks downtown Des Moines that have a podcast studio set up. And one of my struggles with the podcast and being consistent is having all of the stuff set up. And so now that I found these folks, I think I'm going to set up and do podcasts a little bit more regularly. Now this podcast, we're going to kind of talk about just agents, real estate agents and lenders in the central Iowa area. And that's a passion of mine. I became an agent 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't think that there's one central voice that is transparent about agents talking to agents, right? So we have associations, we have brokers, we have major agents that kind of talk to each other, but no transparent, hey, let's all get on the same page, aside from, again, major associations. And so what I want to do is kind of put together a podcast where we interview the brokers, associations, city officials, city economics, to understand what agents and lenders should and would be best for them and their business. So I want to basically inspire and entertain and inform agents and lenders in the central Iowa area. Each podcast we're going to it'll either be a monologue or it'll be a dual podcast of myself and another person, or the room is actually big enough we can have 4 people. So if we want to have a panel and a conversation, we totally could do that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. One of my favorite things to do is interview and ask questions to people. And so if I can get someone on here that is open to having me ask very random questions in no perfect order, then I will have them on. And if I think it will educate and bring the agents and the lenders together through education, we'll absolutely do that. So segments of the podcast, the goal again is we'll kind of do current trends. Obviously, we'll talk about lead sources of real estate agents. I mastermind in many different real estate agent masterminds, I guess you could say. And I would say Iowa does a pretty poor job of, I wouldn't say a poor job. Iowa does an interesting job of how we discuss how leads are coming in as agents. Some agents are solos, some agents are teams. There really isn't any, there's not very many just massive teams in the Des Moines central Iowa market that are incredibly known. Their brands are not that big, right? Des Moines isn't that big, so that kind of has a factor to it. But I want to talk about on this podcast of just what agents are doing to bring in leads, what are their best leads, what are they doing that's unique. And a lot of people are going to question this, is like, why would an agent share with other people in the same market that they're in of where they're getting their leads? And I'll just tell you where I get my leads, and that'll be another episode. I'm an abundance mentality. So I don't think that there is I don't think that there is a limited amount that I can get. I think there is enough for everyone. If you think about it, in the Des Moines market, there's 15,000 houses sold every year. Maybe actually last year there was 12,000 at like 13. So we're right around 13,000. If you sell 100 houses a year, you're making a couple $100,000 a year as an agent, right? Pretty much that's how that economics is going to go, right? So that's less than 1% of the total houses sold. So if you don't think that there is an abundance of opportunity for you as a real estate agent in central Iowa, you probably shouldn't be listening to the podcast or the video cast. So I would urge you to go elsewhere. If you're curious about what other agents are doing in the metro on how they're gaining leads or getting leads or nurturing leads or running their business, this is going to be a very informative podcast for you. At least that's what I'm going to try to pull out. I'm an agent at Keller Williams. I have agents throughout Keller Williams that I could interview. Obviously, I'm going to interview agents at other brokerages. I'm biased to Keller Williams. I'll be straightforward in that. I love them. I will not leave unless they kick me out. But I also know that there are other really, really good agents at other brokerages around the state of Iowa that own brokerages, that run big teams, that are running really cool campaigns. I know a couple I could just throw out at the top of my head of that. I think they're providing a lot of value to consumers, buyers and sellers in the real estate world. Lenders, the same way. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of lenders in the central Iowa area. They all market in different ways. Some market to agents, some market to buyers, some market to the general public, some market through their banks, some market through their credit unions. I don't care. I just love knowing how that works, I guess you could say. So I'll have people on that give us ideas or give us their perspective, their business process to do that. I think it'd be really cool. Third thing we'll have on there is we'll spotlight local businesses and the impacts around the city of Des Moines. So as an agent, as a lender, I think it's important for you to be able to sell Des Moines or sell against Des Moines, right? And when I say Des Moines, I usually mean the Des Moines metro, but I think each city has their selling points. As you listening to this, you know that there's a difference between Des Moines, Waukee, Pleasant Hill, Altoona, Norwalk, Urbandale, Clive, whatever. We all know that each of those cities has their essentially pros and cons. I was going to mention this in another episode, but one of my lead sources is a YouTube channel for people that are looking to move to Des Moines. It isn't crazy. I don't bring in like thousands. I say thousands of dollars. That's one sale. I don't bring in thousands of leads from it, but it's a good pillar for my business. So I think having city officials, business owners, people on the podcast to educate us on what's happening throughout our metro, there isn't enough of that content that goes around. Now, I'm going to interview them in probably a little bit different way than other people might. I love to know. I love to dig into the details. I love to ask I don't say the hard questions. I don't want to do a got you, but I want to think, hey, you gave me a statistic. Why did you give that statistic and not another statistic that I have heard elsewhere, right? So that'll be really good. Those are going to be conversational podcasts that I'll do my very best to have anyone that has impact that can share us the future of what's going to happen in the Des Moines metro. And then the fourth thing is basically listener Q&A, right? So those people, lenders, real estate agents that are listening to the podcast, I would really love to know what exactly you are struggling with, what you're having success with, what you're questioning, why agents do X, Y, Z. For example, we have most people that are an agent in the Des Moines, a real estate agent in the Des Moines market. There's a Facebook group, and there are questions on that Facebook group. Some of the questions I know are cringe-worthy questions because these agents are under a brokerage that should be answering that question. But for whatever reason, that agent goes to the general agent population to get that question answered, as opposed to just going to their broker and getting the way that their broker wants them to answer or work through that issue. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my mindset is wrong because of the way our brokerage at Keller Williams is set up, but your brokerage is the one that's going to protect you and is on the line if you do something wrong. So I would personally want to get the opinion of my brokerage before I go to a general forum to get the answer to that question. I could be wrong. I would love for someone to question me on that and say, hey, that's not what the broker is for. They're for XYZ or they're for or whatever, or the general agent Facebook group is the best place for that question because blah, blah, blah. I would love to have that conversation. I've yet to be convinced that is the case on that exact scenario. But I just think I think questions from folks that are agents and lenders of why is XYZ done this way. A good example is DMAR, Des Moines Area Realtor Association, has no affiliation with this podcast. I should say that. Des Moines, no one has any affiliation with this podcast except me, myself, and I, Darson Grantham. So if you want to get mad at anything that I say or any of the things my guests say, it is on me and solely me. So I'll take full responsibility for that. But let's see here. DMAR, Des Moines Area Realtor Association. Why did they not offer coming soon in their MLS, right? Why is it that there are, different fields on the MLS? Why is commercial done one way, residential's done one way, land's done one way, leasing is just brand new? How is that done? I would love to get some conversation and education around those specific topics. So, or things that are done well or done not well on those topics, right? If we can get to that, if we can create some content, and that's what my goal is on this podcast. If we can get that content out there, it's going to create an agent community that we have in Des Moines that is very beneficial for everyone in the community. And you know this as an agent, as a lender, when lenders might not quite understand it as well, but when you're an agent and you have a property for sale, or you're helping a client buy a property, and they like a property, and then you scroll down and you see the agent on there, and you're like, oh no, I have to do another transaction with Betsy Lou. You've got to be kidding me. I do not want to deal with her unorganizedness, her lack of communication, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, due to our ethics rules, we cannot talk poorly or degrade any other agent. So there will be no exact name calling out on agents. I'll promise you. Otherwise, we will get, I don't know if we'll get fined. We'll have some issues with the higher ups in the real estate agent world. That's totally fine. Although I don't agree with it, and we can get into that in another topic, another time. It is what it is. So knowing, my point in all of this is, when we can get agents together and working in collaboratively in the better good of the community and better good of the agents, better good of the brokerage, and it's easier to work together when you know that you're working with a good agent. It makes us more profitable as agents. It makes us more efficient. It makes the client's time, value, service just way, way better. So that's really the goal of me putting this podcast together. So I guess to wrap it up, this was, 15, 20-minute podcast. We'll try to keep most of them around 30 to 40 minutes. This was the intro. Obviously, this is going to be a shorter one just because there isn't one specific topic that we're going to go over. Where the goal is to inform and inspire agents and lenders around Central Iowa. The goal is not to have this podcast be thousands of people listening to it, because I don't think the content that we're going to talk about is going to be relevant to the general public. It's going to be relevant to anyone that is a licensed real estate agent or wants to become one, a broker, or a lender, right? If those three types of professions all can listen to the content locally, like, that is who our audience is. And I think that there is something missing in the Central Iowa area for that type of content. It's not for the general public. One other thing is, there is another person that does, I think he does YouTube channel, and the data is really good. His name's Les Solgrove. Simply Des Moines Market Stats, I believe, is his podcast. It's really, really good. It's just a little too dry and data heavy for my liking. So one of the things that we'll do on this podcast quite a bit is we're going to go through the data that Les shares, because he puts out really good local market data around Central Iowa about the real estate market. His audience is also real estate agents. I don't think he talks really much to lenders, although there is a lender comment here and there. And when you have that data, that resource, and you can basically tell a story around that data, how that data is experiencing you as an agent, or your brokerage, or other brokerages, or the general public, it gives agents and lenders more education, more ability to speak on that topic. So we will do our very best to make sure that we promote other people, other podcasts, other YouTube channels that are providing value to agents and lenders locally. This is not going to be a national podcast, not a national YouTube channel. It's not going to blow up. I don't expect that to, but I'm confident that we can get enough information out here that educates agents that it's going to be a staple in most agents' arsenal to turn on for 20, 30, 40 minutes. We are absolutely going to have education for agents around Central Iowa. So with that, I'll wrap this up. Again, my name is Darson Grantham. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. I am a local real estate agent here in Des Moines Metro. I started in 2020. my first year as a full 12 months as a real estate agent, I did win Rookie of the Year and sold $12 million in real estate. The last few years, I've basically sold around 50 houses, 50 sides per year, in a combination of residential, investment. Haven't done a whole lot of land. I live on an acreage, so I know acreage properties pretty well. And I have a, wife, 4 boys, 5, 6 and under now. So have a pretty busy life, if you will. But I really enjoy the business behind the career of real estate. And so that's why I'm putting this podcast together, and I'm pretty pumped about what's going to come of it. So until next time, we'll see you later.